Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Glad to have you on this Thursday. It is another great sports weekend coming up and could not be happier. Another full lineup today. Coach will join us, Dustin Schutte, Matt Taylor from the Colts, and Andy Yamashita from the Seattle Times, an AP voter. And I noticed that he's one that had kind of been on the Indiana train earlier than most. So I was looking forward to talking to him to see what he saw, what he sees, to make him vote in that manner. But we'll look forward to that. Glad to have you along, no matter where or how you're listening on one of our great radio station affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, the Ref, always the right call in Evansville and Southwest Indiana. Up in the region, on the voice of the region, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB, covering Northwest Indiana and all of Fort Wayne and the Fort Wayne area on the only sports station in town, 1380 The Fan. Keep it locked right where you got it as you travel throughout the day for the best in sports content. And if you're following us along by social media, you know the routine. Like, subscribe, yada, yada. Speaking of subscribe, hey, man, make sure you go to thehoosier.com on 3 today. And you can check that out for $1, and it's 50% off. But you also get, in addition to a subscription to the Hoosier.com on 3, you get a subscription to The Athletic and much more. But the content there, incredible. And you'll be glad you did. Trust me on that. I know that those guys would appreciate it as they work hard to bring you all the content and helps us out immensely as well as they each and every one join us on the program. Looking forward to another fun day. How are you doing out there, everybody? Been kind of a not a miserable week, just a cloudy week. And that's called Pete, and repeat. How's it going, my man, Pete? Fulton is on board as well. Cheryl, glad to have everybody in the chat room as well. Feel free to throw those comments up at any time. Appreciate you guys. Another big weekend of football coming up, not just for the Hoosiers, for the Colts, as they look to go 4-0. Matt Taylor will join us today. Looking forward to talking to Matthew. And, man, his days have to be going well right now with the Colts flying high. Indiana gets some great news on the football side of things as Lewis Moore wins his injunction against the NCAA, and he is free to play for the remainder of the season. Good news for the Hoosiers. I think that Lewis Moore is Indiana's leading tackler right now, to be honest with you. But, yeah, that's just great news, but not shocking at all. I said all along, the only thing that would shock me is that didn't happen. There's no way that there was too much. There were too many precedents already set that for him not to win that. So that's over with. They don't have to worry about that anymore. They can move forward and not worry about it, although probably wasn't a lot of worry going on anyway. But it's done. It's over with. How about some baseball? Boy, oh boy. I guarantee you there's some miserable people listening and there's some really happy people listening. I'm not amongst the happy ones. Damn Reds. Opportunity last night as the Cubbies took care of the Mets, and the Reds trailed the Pirates throughout the game. Finally, they tie the game. Then Pittsburgh goes ahead in the 10th. Yeah, Cincinnati tied it. But then they gave up another run in the I think it was the 11th, and they lose that game. So they don't take advantage of the opportunity to catch up to the Mets. The damn Mets. A lot of pressure on the Mets, though. They have one of the highest payrolls in all of baseball, one that is 3 times that of the Cincinnati Reds. Yeah, 3 times. Their payroll is 3 times that of the Cincinnati Reds. So we will we'll see how it ends up, but not they've got 4 games remaining now. 1 more game with the Pirates, and then they have a 3-game set with Milwaukee. Yes. Now, Milwaukee has the best record in baseball right now, and they lead their division, but already in the playoffs, I don't know how hard they will be working in that series. Right now, Cincinnati is and don't forget Arizona, the Diamondbacks. The Reds are tied with the Diamondbacks, it looks like. So not only are they now, both teams are chasing the Mets. Are they a game back? Both a full game back of the Mets still. Now, the good thing is the Reds has the tiebreaker. If that comes into play. Now, I wonder what about Arizona? Who has the tiebreaker there? Oh, have to check that out. These 2 teams have screwed around, and man, gosh dang it. That's 2 in a row the Reds have lost that have put them in this position. So we shall see. A lot of home runs going on. Gee whiz, Cal Riley of the Mariners hit his 59th and 60th homer as the Mariners clinch the AL West. Kyle Schwarber, he's on track to hit 60. I think he hit his 55th and 6th last night. So he's on track to hit 60. Not a lot of, I'd have to go back and look. How many guys have hit 60 that were non-steroid guys? And I'm not talking about Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, when all that was going on. How many guys have hit 60 since then that were post-steroids? Curious as to that. I am not sure if I will be at the coach's show tonight. I've got a lot going on this weekend. Heading to Iowa City, as the Indiana Hoosiers, number 11 right now in the AP poll, head to Iowa City and Kinnick Stadium to take on Iowa this weekend and a Big Ten matchup that is big for Indiana. Not because Iowa's ranked. They're not. But it's still Iowa. Iowa's still a good program. They're a top 30, probably a top 30 team at worst at the moment. If they were to win this game, they'd be ranked. So they're that close to being ranked. We're still in the part of the season where there's a ton of guessing going on. People are still guessing, especially about, I'll be honest with you, the SEC teams. Texas is overrated. How good is LSU really? I mean, there is no question. Yeah, and this is right to you, Paul Feinbaum. The Big Ten is superior at the top. Period. And it's not just Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon. You better add Indiana to that. because Indiana is a top 5 team. I'm telling you right now, they are one of the most complete teams in the country. Now, they've got to continue to show that. They'll have that opportunity this weekend at Iowa. You go out there and I don't expect a display like we saw last week. First of all, Indiana had the crowd on its side and there was just everything going its way. I still expect a lower scoring game, partly because Iowa's going to slow the hell out of the game. They're going to run the ball and slow the ball down. But Indiana's not. We'll talk more about that and break down what probably will happen when we come back. Coach Griff will join us. We'll talk some football. Appreciate you being with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as always. We're back with more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Glad to have you along as we're heading towards another spectacular sports weekend. Coach Griff joins us now as lots of good games this weekend, man. The Colts looking to go 4-0 as they are lighting it up in the NFL. Indiana looking to add to their record as well to go 5-0 as they have jumped in the rankings to number 11. Fernando Mendoza, odds-on favorite right now to win the Heisman. A lot of good things going Indiana's. Lewis Moore wins his injunction against the NCAA. A lot of wins for Indiana right now, Coach.
Yeah, it was good to see that they cleared the air with Lewis Moore's scenario there with the NCAA, and they finally just said he's eligible through the end of the season or end of the year. That's a huge news for Indiana because of his leadership, on the field and the number of years he's played back there. He's played pretty well, I would say, to date.
I think he's the leading tackler for Indiana.
Yeah. I think the one thing right now that they've gotten some problems in the secondary lining up correctly, and I know that's a big concern of Signetti. Brought it up Monday, and I've seen it throughout the few weeks on tape that there just seems to be a lack of communication or understanding. So that's got to get cleaned up because you can't have blown coverages like they did against Illinois, and had that big touchdown because that was a simple route. It should not have gone for 6. But
well, yeah, because when you get to Oregon, they are going to have a very, very prolific and complicated offense that is going to throw a lot of looks at you.
And Iowa will do the same. I mean, they're going to take what they've seen on tape that Indiana's had trouble defending in the passing game, and they're going to implement it into their system of what they do. So, yeah, those are the things that you got to clean up, even though you win handedly and everybody's feeling good about yourself. You still got to have an objective mind and thoroughly go through everything so that everybody's on the same page. But you're correct. There's been a lot of wins this week as it pertains to Indiana. Some mindsets maybe have changed a little bit about their perception, although I have seen now that there's people out there saying Illinois is not a good team now. You know,
what do you expect?
Yeah,
I will say this: they were never a top 10 team.
No,
you can't be a top 10 team whose offensive line has all the experience that they have, but gives up. What did they give up? See, 12 sacks in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
That's not good. That's terrible.
Yeah, we were talking about that all along, that you could not objectively have Illinois ranked as high as they did and have Indiana almost 10 spots back. I mean, it was just total, you know what? Indiana finally proved it on the field, and that's where it counts. So, but you know, here's the thing. What Indiana has to have happen now is they got to continue rolling like they are, focused on the future next game. And they got to hope that Illinois keeps winning and Old Dominion keeps doing well and things of that magnitude, because that just bolsters their resume in that regard. So it'd be great to see Illinois beat USC and, you know, those type of things. But they got a tough one going into Kiniak this week. It's a you know, you're going up against a very stout offensive line, probably one of the better offensive lines that Indiana will probably face all year.
Grain-fed, baby. That's a grain-fed offensive line.
Grain-fed offensive line.
It's grain-fed USDA grade A beef out there in Iowa. They are known for having just your good old-fashioned slobber knocker football teams. They run the ball a ton. As a matter of fact, their quarterback had like 3 touchdowns last week or something, but they were all running, all rushing. They still, I don't know if they're still waiting or if he's still getting his feet. This is a kid that threw for over 10,000 yards in 2 seasons prior at South Dakota State. But that's not an Iowa type offense. So they're trying to work that in. But another reason why Indiana's got to get their deficiencies in the secondary taken care of quickly, because they're probably going to see some of that. While Iowa will probably be able to run better than, say, Illinois did on Indiana, they're not going to run over Indiana, number one. Number two, while they're taking, even if they have a successful drive, it's going to take them 5 or 6 minutes to score. Indiana's going to get the ball, and in 3 minutes, boom, they're going to come down and score. So anytime that Iowa gets stopped and Indiana gets the ball in its hands and they score again in 3 minutes, Iowa will quickly get behind, and they're not a play from behind team because their game is the running game.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Tim Lester, who played in Mid-American Conference when I was coaching, he was a hell of a quarterback at Western Michigan, and I've known him for years. And he is a big double tight end, what we call jumbo tight end sets, play multiple tight ends, play action pass. You'll see the 5 wides and, you know, things of that magnitude. But yeah, this kid has the ability to run the football as that quasi second back in the backfield mentality. And, you know, Kurt Ferentz is still going to be a run first, set up the play action pass type of offense to complement what they do defensively. And that's kind of what they've always been. And they've done it better over the last 2 years since Tim has taken over as the OC there. Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator, has been there forever. And there's a lot of continuity on that staff. But Yeah, you're correct in some of the ways that Iowa likes to play the game, and it's
say
very
that
much.
again. What did you say? They're starting.
I always say you're right.
I'm kidding. I'm just
Iowa's a very
messing, man.
yeah. Iowa's a very I don't know what the word. I guess you could say their method to their madness is really kind of a ball control, time of possession type of football offensively. They're looking for time consumption, ground and pound, play action, throw it over the top of you type of offense. And they add the quarterback in the mix, especially when they get down into the red zone area where teams are more susceptible to play man for man, and the quarterback becomes a forgotten, person in that type of schematic setup on defense. So it's going to be a good chess match, I guess I could say, for these coordinators this weekend. And you've got two wily veterans as head coaches. So, I mean, there's a lot of continuity, I guess you could say, that's going to be on the field and on Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely. And Doug Snyder points out that he says that he thinks Iowa's defensive backs will struggle against IU. Well, here's a little information. Iowa gave up over 300 yards passing
to
Rutgers.
Yeah. Rutgers threw on them pretty good.
But here's an even better stat. Well, maybe a more amazing stat. Who's the leading, the odds-on favorite for the Heisman Trophy right now?
Well, it depends on what publication.
Well, all right. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
But did you know Fernando Mendoza, while being the leading candidate for the Heisman right now, has yet to throw for 300 yards as a Hoosier?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
That's wild and wacky stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, again, when you look at Indiana's throwing game, it's all ball control. I mean, you're very, they do push the football down the field, but a lot of their chunk plays are coming off of the RPO and quick passing game where, Cooper and Surratt get into open field and, make people miss or add on yak yardage afterwards. And that's kind of been their forte in space. We have yet to see a back shoulder throw, something that they were very, very, very good at a year ago. And that may not be Fernando's cup of tea. That's a type of throw that, not everybody is comfortable trying to throw a back shoulder throw. But he's very good of getting the ball in and out of his hands quick. And that's what they've done. And they've done quite effectively. And maybe that's led to not being able to throw for 300 yards. But I look at it this way. They haven't had to throw as much because the offensive run game has been so powerful. When you have 4 straight weeks of 300 yards rushing, that to me, I don't know of any team that's done that in a long time, unless you're in an academy school like Navy and Army, where they're predicated on the wishbone and things of that nature. But Indiana's run offense, I think, has been I don't want to say the biggest surprise, but it's been the surprise in the sense that it's been effectively gaining 300 yards the last 4 weeks straight.
Well, partly when I say that Fernando Mendoza has not thrown for 300 yards yet, here's another wicked stat. All of his touchdowns, he leads the country in touchdowns.
Yeah, I know.
He's up there in a lot of categories. He did not throw a single touchdown in the first game, the entire first game.
Right.
So there's 4 quarters. He hasn't played in a fourth quarter of any game. Actually, so that's 3 quarters. He hasn't played in the fourth quarter of any game yet.
Mm-hmm.
That is an entire game.
Yeah.
Right now that he has not played and has done this. So that's part of the reason why he hasn't thrown for 300 yards yet.
Yeah.
That will happen because unless they get out and pull another Nebraska-Illinois game, which that would be doing that on the road at Iowa would be really eye-opening. Doing it in Bloomington is one thing, but I expect that he goes over 300 yards this weekend because he's probably going to play a little longer. I think that it'll take a little bit longer for Indiana to stretch this out. I still think they win by 2 scores eventually, but there you go. There's the information. Don't know what you can do with it.
Yeah,
but there you go.
Right. This game's going to come down to turnovers and special teams because you're facing 2 teams that are very good in special teams. They've got Wet Jet, a kid that is a multifaceted player, best known for his returns, and what he's done with the punt return and kickoff return. And then what Boyd has done with his punt return. So you got special teams going to be a factor in this game. And then the turnover margin. Iowa is sitting at a big 0 and Indiana's like a +5 or +6 thus far in the turnover margin. So those are the kind of the statistics within the statistics that don't maybe not show on paper, but they're going to be there in a big way on Saturday. So yeah, it's going to be a game. Like you said, it's going to be nip and tuck. It's going to be back and forth, I would imagine. And the biggest thing is, can Indiana replicate what they've done at home thus far on the road in a hostile environment where noise will be an issue? And did they address some of the problems that they had a year ago, like at Columbus, and that somewhat of a debacle of a game? And we'll see. And we talked about these 3 games. We said it's going to be a tough 3-week stretch. Indiana did the first thing that we thought they could do, is get a win versus Illinois at home. So they're kind of playing a little bit with the house money here heading in this week. And we'll see what happens. But it's going to be a good game. I really do. I think it's going to be a good game. And I think it's relatively reflective of Vegas odds right now. I think the Indiana's 7.5, but the over and under is 48.
Well,
that was low.
That's because it's going to be, I will stand behind. I think it's going to be a much lower scoring game because Iowa is such a snail's pace offense.
Yeah, that's true.
That they have kept the ball on the ground all season long, which just eats up the clock. But that's also my point, that as soon as Indiana scores, buddy, it's Indiana's running a track meet. Iowa's running a cross country race, and you're going to be late to the finish line if you're trying to run cross country against Indiana's track team. Indiana, I would have to pull it up, but I'm sure somebody will. Indiana's average scoring drives, especially over the last 3 games, much like last year under Curtis Rourke, probably around 3 minutes.
Yeah,
they don't have long drives. Now, eventually in bigger games, might that be something that they need to have in their arsenal? I'm not saying they're not capable of it. Hell, they just score.
Yeah,
it's just an electric offense that scores, man.
And the other part of that equation has been field position. They've won the field position battle for the better part of the last 3 weeks, and Indiana's offense a lot of times has come up with a short field, which favors an offense over a defense. And they very seldom have you seen them have to drive on a consistent basis 80 yards because they're starting drives at their 20 or their 25-yard line. So that's where the defense plays its part, and special teams, and that's the thing that they got to keep doing, providing those opportunities for the offense and vice versa. And I think Indiana's defense, if they can continue to get the pressure that they got against Illinois on Iowa this week by getting 4 guys in the backfield, however they however that happens, I think that's a win in itself, that they don't have to take the gamble part of heating up this guy. But, Rutgers got after him pretty good when they needed to. And you already stated that Rutgers offense actually threw the football pretty well against Iowa. And I do concur with, I think you read it already. I'm not sure Iowa's secondary is at the top, of secondaries in the Big Ten. So I do think there's some possible matchups there that can be exploited. And I like the fact that Indiana started getting the running backs the ball out of the backfield, throwing the ball like they did to Hemby last week.
Yeah, it was, and that's something that we don't talk about enough, probably. Indiana's own running game is probably better than Iowa's statistically.
Oh, yeah.
It certainly is.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
much better.
They lose Lee Beebe, and then Kobe Martin's just like a machine, just slides over in place, tick, 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 bam. Next guy up. He goes for a Ben Franklin last week rushing.
Twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row. He's over 100 yards, and it was mostly in the second, latter part of the first half and all the second half that his yardage came. But, that's the other thing is Iowa's is missing their leading rusher this week. He's out with an ankle injury. So
that's even going to hurt them more, or do they rely a little more on the passing game? They're going to have to throw the ball.
Oh yeah, they're going to have to throw.
They're just not going to have a choice.
I just don't see them lining up and playing, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I don't think they change much. I do think they've got adequate backs that fill in for whoever's back there, and who knows, maybe they use the Gronowski kid more in the run game, in that regard. But again, Indiana is going to have to play a really, really good game, and they're going to have to overcome a lot because of the environment that they're heading into. I guess some of the best part of it is Indiana hasn't been to Iowa for a while, and I don't think there's anybody in this squad that's ever played at Iowa, so they don't even know what they're going into. And sometimes
Signetti has never been to Iowa.
Yeah, that sometimes is the best thing, because you're not already psyching yourself out about something, they don't have a clue about. So they look at it like I heard Aiden Fisher say, and they all say it. It's another business trip. That's the way they approach it. And
how does Indiana always manage playing the Hawkeyes in Iowa City? It seems like all the time.
Oh, I don't know if Iowa's been to Bloomington in 8 years. It doesn't seem like that.
Indiana has been to Iowa. This will be my second trip there in like 5 years. And so it's just amazing how that.
I think the last time they played out there was in 21. That was when Indiana had a ranked team, and they got their handed to them in a 34-6 embarrassing football game where it just was not good on that day in Iowa City.
No, but that is not expected to be the case this week. Hey, let's take a break. Coach Griffith is with us. Glad to have you along here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Lots more coming up right after these messages. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on this Thursday ahead of big game week. Indiana heading out to Iowa. Baseball going on, the playoffs. Don't want to talk about that. Don't want to talk about it. But also Indiana changing their future football schedule. They will play North Texas next September 5th. As part of next season's non-conference schedule, which, for one thing, answers one question anyway. The game replaces a previously announced game against Colorado State. A P4, well, no, they're not a P4 team.
Group of 5.
Yeah, they're in a group of 5 in the new
Mountain. Yeah.
Well, they're going to be in the new Pac-12, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But they want it out of the contract, so they're actually paying Indiana $100,000.
The amount was negotiated down from the 1.3 million in damages that was outlined in the contract that parties agreed to back in 2021. Why the hell do you let them out for that little? With as much money that has been spent buying out of games on your side, get $500,000 out of it. Gee.
Yeah, well, I think part of it was like you just said, the realignment that Colorado State is going to be going through, and until that is situated for next year, they probably have to make sure they have some open windows and probably a chance for them to get a home game by scheduling somebody else, because they were coming to Indiana, but they always do that. I mean, there's very few schools that don't
the other
draw down
games on the preseason or non-conference schedule, rather. It's might as well be preseason. Howard and Western Kentucky. So that answers the question. The Big Ten is not going to match everybody else now. All other conferences, they are now going to be behind as far as quality of schedule. And it's going to have an impact because the SEC mouths are going to whine until the cows come home. I mean, they are going to lay up, and rightfully so.
No,
everybody else is doing it. The ACC not gone to complete to 9 conference games yet. Half of the teams will be, but they're all going to play 10 P4 teams. 10.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the Big Ten.
Well, they're going to
like Indiana. I don't understand why Indiana is.
I'm not sure they don't have to. They won't change it.
Well, they will, but they're not going to change it before 2026.
That's the thing. You can find some of those games out there that you're wanting to schedule, because there's going to be another Indiana out there.
There's no, I don't. There's not the finding the teams is not the problem. Doing it, first of all, requiring it would have to be a requirement by the Big Ten, which currently does not exist. And
I don't know.
So the Big Ten has been the leader all these years, with the first to play 9 conference games. And so now the SEC finally jumps on board, but they also add the P4 requirement. And then you've got the ACC playing 10 P4 teams. Same with the
Big 12.
Big 12. Yeah. And so now the Big 10 is Johnny come lately. And
And you're correct.
I don't know.
If they don't correct it and they let it stand as is, if they become a bubble team, then they're not going to get in. I mean, it's going to be as simple as that, because they're going to get held for their non-conference schedule. And then, I think it was the other day I heard Feinbaum was already threatening the college sports commission, and the SEC was already in that mindset of, there better be, this and there better be that, because they're already starting their war chant as it pertains to this year already. So
Feinbaum doesn't know crap.
It's all going to be
blah, blah, blah.
It's all going to be in that deal. And that just makes, even if it's next year, that the case to make the playoffs with a schedule that lacks a true P4 team in your non-conference that much harder.
Especially when you have a schedule like Indiana did last year. It to become more difficult. Now, their play this season will help with that, because I think Indiana is going to start getting more recognition as being Indiana, not the old Indiana, because they're viewed as it being Indiana. Still, as I pointed out yesterday, still being viewed with a side eye by everybody. But
they still like brand awareness.
Don't know what the Big Ten is waiting for. Dude, you've always been the leader. So what are you waiting for? Get on the train or get run over by the train.
Well, you're right, especially
game there,
especially when when Sig makes the comment at media day that we've adopted the SEC philosophy on scheduling, and then all of a sudden they call your bluff. Well, if you're going to say that, then you got to back it up. Like we both know, Indiana has no business playing Howard next year in football.
None. Zero. It's to me, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see where the value in that is at all, other than it's a historical black college and they're helping them out financially.
That has nothing to do, and that has nothing to do with why they're on the schedule. Let me tell you.
No, granted, but I just don't understand. Like you said, I just don't see how that improves or helps Indiana in any facet when it comes to, even if it's an expanded playoffs with 16 teams, you know what I mean? That again, that's another question that's going to have to be answered. And like you said, the Big Ten is going to have to address it with either, yes, we're doing it, or we're going to leave it up to the individual schools for their scheduling.
David says that there are a lot of crummy P4 teams. I'm not quite sure how the SEC mandating that extra P4 makes their schedules better, in his opinion. Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, I see a lot of people wanting Indiana to schedule Kentucky. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more. That's not going to happen, but it's not going to happen because Kentucky already plays Louisville.
Right.
And that is their P4 opponent. Number one, it's a rival and it's their P4 opponent. They already have a good P4 opponent. They're not going to add an 11th solid P4 team. I wouldn't either. So that's not going to happen. But Indiana has got to, the Big Ten has got to get off the schneid and get with this. I was hoping that they would be a little quicker in this, because now we're going to go through another year of listening to this crap, which no, it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you, in my opinion. What if you play a crappy P4 team? You have them on the schedule. Who cares?
Yeah.
Now, having Howard on the schedule is ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. I mean, you should never play a freaking FCS team, period.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Well, the school that would make sense would be like Cincinnati or West Virginia, that is in a geographical location that is easily to get to. Pittsburgh,
Virginia.
Yeah, but if a geographical footprint is of concern, there's plenty P4
It's not
schools that you could get yourself aligned with and find commonality within the schedule. But again, that's dominating the news, and when it comes
you've got Ohio State playing Texas.
Yeah.
And now Penn State, I don't think that they have.
They had a very similar schedule to Indiana.
Yeah, and they're not catching all this flack.
They never do. Penn State it's because of brand awareness and that stuff. But hey, it is what it is. And
another reason though why Indiana needs to win either the Oregon or Penn State games, to me.
Mm-hmm. They have to
establish themselves as one of the Big Ten's top
contender.
Dogs.
Yeah.
I could have been a contender. I could have been to somebody.
Yeah. Well, if
quickly,
we go out to Oregon,
who knows it quickly? Let me see it up on the comments. Do you know where that's from? Nope. Boy, I love when stuff hits. I love when stuff hits my ADHD brain.
Mm-hmm. Like me. It's a brick wall.
Absolutely. Brian says IU is now in place where the non-cons want big dollars. No, that has nothing to do with it. It's nothing to do with money. It's and it should. Well, it's not going to get harder for Indiana to schedule people because teams don't mind being paid to come play.
Oh no, it's not hard to schedule in that regard. I know some say, well, these schedules are even 6 to 8 years out, and maybe they are. But
now I understand Kurt Signetti wanting those 3 games because anybody with a half a brain can see the progress Indiana made from weeks 1 to weeks 2, from weeks 2 to weeks 3, and weeks 3 to week 4. Boom. They're rolling right now. Week 3 they were doing pretty well. So that would have been, I don't propose them having a P4 game in their first game or their second game, but definitely by the third game, unless you have a weak Big Ten opponent and then you can play it later in the year. But how cool would it be for Indiana to have a home and home with a Colorado, get Dion in here.
Yeah, there's opportunities out there. Yeah, there's no question about that.
But it's going to come a time, and I don't see how the Big Ten gets around this after next season. I'm already surprised that they haven't come out and talked about it. But everything they keep saying is, oh, there's been no conversations about it, yada yada. I'm like, baloney. There has to be. There's no way. Oh, yeah. Everybody's done this, and the Big Ten has not had any conversations about it. Oh, bull bleep. You know they are. They're behind the 8 ball.
Absolutely. And, I think another thing will be a driving factor in the equation is if they expand the playoffs to 16, which is rumored to be that next year. But if everything gets buttoned up with the schedule and how that's all handled and they can expand to 16, they're going to do it and do it as quickly as they can because they want more exposure for teams to get in the playoff as opposed to being that hot seat, on the cusp of not getting in.
Man, looking forward to this weekend. This should be an absolutely stellar game. We'll, of course, have the post game afterwards. I will be live from Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. And I can't wait because I've been there once. First of all, and I've said this, one of the great environments in college football. Iowa fans are great football fans. They are great football fans. Love their football. Love their Iowa Hawkeyes. The stadium will be packed. The outside, there will be so much going on. But the best thing, and I get goosebumps just talking about it. Damn, that's no lie. The end of the third quarter, wave to the kids in the children's hospital that overlooks now Kinnick Field. And when they wave to the kids up that are high atop there, that's the greatest tradition in all of sports. It's hard to believe that thing's only been around for less than 10 years. But it's hard to believe that something that's come along this recently is without question the greatest tradition in all of sports, in my opinion.
I concur.
Make sure you tune in for Hoosier Tailgate tonight with Coach Griff. You can find that at thehoosier.com. What are some of the things you'll be chatting about?
Going to talk about this offense and defense and what they do and why they do it, as well as their personnel and how is Indiana going to attack it.
How is that going to happen?
Well, you're going to have to watch.
I know. Just get little snips, little snips, little. You got to give some lead in, man. It's called teasing, baby. Just like you do your hair. Teasing. Like Dustin Schutte does his hair.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate tease. He's going to join us next, but I'm talking about him, so I'm going to bring him in. How did your hair teasing go today?
It went really well, let me tell you. I've saved a lot of money at the barber shop. Let's put it that way.
For those of you that are listening on radio, Dustin Schutte joins us. He does not have any hair, so it's a joke. Coach, appreciate you as always.
You got it.
Dustin Schutte joins us next after these messages. Indiana Sports Beat Radio rolls on.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday, joined now by Dustin Schutte from Purdue SI. How's it going, sir?
I'm doing well, Jim. How are you?
Good. How was your week gone? What have you been doing?
Oh man, it's busy week. Obviously Purdue is on a bye week, but this is the week that we officially start basketball practice. Obviously teams have been practicing throughout the summer. So it actually lined up perfectly for me because football team's on a break. So you do a little bit of recap there from the first 4 games, and then you dive right into basketball, which got underway yesterday in West Lafayette.
Yeah, it's quickly going to be upon us. Indiana's got an open practice coming up. I've got to, check my dates because there's so much going on. I'm like, okay, when's that? When am I leaving for Iowa? Then Indiana has and I was corrected yesterday by someone, and it makes sense by not calling it a bye week. What's the better word for us to use? I can't
Off week.
No, I mean that's accurate.
Idle.
They were saying that the buys are for playoffs and whatnot, and I can't think of the word, but who cares?
Idle.
Yeah, they're idle. They're there's a damn word that I cannot think of it. Doggone it. But oh well. Open week is appropriate, but it doesn't matter. It's not important enough, right? SEC, ACC, Big 12, all playing 10 Power 4 teams on their schedules going forward. Big 10, not doing it right now. And I think that's going to hurt. They've gone from the Big 10 has gone from being the leader in this to the bottom. Now they're behind the eight ball, so to speak. And teams like Indiana, I think, need this because they're still viewed at, rightly or wrongly, and it is wrongly, they're still viewed by what is on that jersey. It says Indiana. So Indiana is not a historical football power. So therefore, they get no love. They have to do more than, and they're not alone. There's plenty of other teams, but they're one of those teams that they don't get they weren't, I hate to call him out, but Brett, what's his last name?
McMurphy?
Yes. Did not have Indiana ranked until they beat Illinois.
Yeah.
Zero, not in the top 25.
Right. Yeah. And I don't understand. I think if they were in the SEC, if they had an SEC patch, I think they'd probably be ranked inside the top 5. Certainly they'd be inside the top 10. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because as long as they continue to win, they'll be fine. Exactly. But I certainly understand the frustration of, we did this last year where everybody doubted Indiana no matter who they beat, and you just beat a top 10 team by 53 points. And the funny thing was, Jim, I was watching that game, and after they blocked the punt and scored a touchdown, I said out loud, they're going to win this game 56-14. And I was wrong. I was like, it just had that. I don't know if everybody else felt that way. It just had that feeling like they were going to run away with it, that Illinois just didn't have the athletes, was no match for them. But I mean, you're right. Like it puts the Big Ten in a tough spot. I don't want to say tough spot. They're going to have to go to 10 games. Because now all of a sudden, I'm not even worried.
Big Ten has to do this.
Yeah,
Indiana's not going to do it until the Big Ten mandates this, and the Big Ten is going to have to come around. Everything I've seen so far is, there's been no discussions about it, yada yada, which is crap. You know that there is, of course there is, and has been, but they're going to have to do it, and I think that they should have done it for next season, but it's not going to happen. Other conferences did it for next season. Now, part of that was because a lot of the SEC teams already play a P4 team because they had that requirement already. So therefore, they had P4 teams scheduled. When they were only playing 8 conference games, they had the requirement for P4. So they already had this scheduled in. Kentucky plays Louisville. Georgia plays Georgia Tech. Alabama. Well, that doesn't. They're all in the same league, but
no, South Carolina, Clemson, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, so they don't have to change anything.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's probably part of the reason why they went there. There were probably a lot of schools from both the SEC and the ACC that said, "Look, we're going to play 10 Power 4 opponents because we have this built-in rivalry," and a lot of those are maybe all of them are in state. And so they don't want to get rid of those because I'm sure it's good for the state. I'm sure it's good for, the local town economies and stuff. But they
better start caring more about their own product.
Well, to me, the Big Ten, it is interesting. People like to say that they went from the leader, like you just said, they went from the leader to the bottom, but this happened in like a month. It's not like the SEC gradually went from, okay, we're going to go to 9 conference games. Okay, we're going to.
Oh no, it was a fight.
It was all
just for a while.
it's all just been snap of the finger. But what's going to happen, especially with the SEC, I'm not even worried about the ACC and the Big 12, but with the SEC, if the Big 10 doesn't play 10 conference games, they're going to get knocked ultimately at the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, because that group has basically been spoon-fed everything by Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, in terms of we need to look more at strength of schedule. We need to look at these metrics, blah, 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 and basically just taking his word for it. So if the SEC is going to play 10 Power 4 teams, each team's going to play 10 Power 4 games, they're going to get the leg up and in the selection committee. And the Big Ten has been clamoring for this for the years. It finally paid off for them last year, where they got 4 teams in and the SEC only got 3. But if they want to keep that opportunity available, they're going to have to move to 10 Power 4 games. And I think they will. I just don't know if it's going to be 2026 or maybe they wait a year and it goes to 2027. But at some point they're going to change, and they will do it.
Well, the College Football Playoff Committee, Management Committee, met briefly about it Wednesday at Big Ten headquarters, by the way. They met for more than 4 hours in a regularly scheduled business meeting, but only spent about 20 minutes talking about the 2026 format. CFP leaders have a contractual obligation to let ESPN know by December 1st if they want to expand the field beyond 12 teams. To make any changes to it, the Big Ten and SEC have to agree on what it should look like, because they're the two big boys. But they've been at an impasse for months. Various models put out. The Big Ten wants this, the SEC wants that, and now the SEC has hey, we're playing a tougher schedule hanging over the Big Ten's head. So the Big Ten it's not as standing on as firm a ground as it once was.
Right. Well, this is a way for the SEC to get its 5 plus 11 instead of the whatever it was 4-4, 2-2, 2-1, or whatever the math was on that.
I'm not a fan of the 24-team playoff. I mean, that's ridiculous. So who the hell are you letting in? Everybody?
Well, I think the SEC made that pitch, or the Big Ten made that pitch in order to get the SEC to get up to 9 conference games. I stand firm on that, and I think it worked. But I think the other reason the Big Ten isn't going to panic and immediately implement this is the fact that only 4 of its teams won't play a Power 4 opponent in non-conference play: Indiana, Nebraska, Washington, and Penn State. Everybody else, the other 14 teams, are all going to play a Power 4 team. So it's probably not that big of a deal for 2026. It won't affect the conference as a whole unless you look at, basically Penn State. But that was Penn State's choice. That was Indiana's choice to cancel those games. So, we'll see what happens. But I think by 2027, the Big Ten's going to be playing 10 Power 4 opponents. They'll require that at some point.
By 2027, there's no way that it doesn't happen by then. The fact that they can get through next season without it, that tells me that I don't know. Since the committee's they're not expected to meet again until January. I just said they have an obligation to tell ESPN by December 1. Well, they're not expected to meet again until the national championship, deep into January. So that tells me we might be staying at 12.
I kind of hope so. I know that there were some problems in terms of blowouts that first round, but it doesn't matter how many teams you have. We had 4 teams for the longest time.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No.
It wasn't part of that because of how the daggone it.
The bye games?
Well, no, how you were ranked. Your seeding.
Yeah.
The seeding.
Right.
The seeding was the problem.
Well, sure, but also when we had 4 teams, I can't remember the stat, but it was like 60 or 70% of those games were won by 17 points or more. It was a ridiculous number. So it doesn't matter how many teams you have in there, you're going to have blowouts. That's just going to be part of it. We see that in the NCAA tournament all the time. To me, that doesn't matter. But I like the 12-team format. If you want to redo the seeding, which I think they're going to do this year, if I remember correctly. I'm fine with it, but I thought 12 teams is more than enough. If you want to do 16, I'm not going to fight you on it, but I like the 12 team format. The only thing that's interesting to me, Jim, is all 4 of those teams that got a legitimate bye last year lost in their first game. So is having that extra time off a disadvantage? And if you think that's the case, then maybe it is smart to go to 16 and have everybody play. What I'd like to see, though, is if they move to 16 teams, I want the first 2 rounds to be held on campuses. I think those campus games are I don't know if they're better. I think I'll just say it. I think they're better for the sport. I don't like the neutral site. Yeah, at some point you've got to go there. But if you were able to get to the first 2 rounds and host those on campus, and then you just have the semifinals and the finals on those neutral site locations, I don't think it's going to happen because there's probably too much sponsorship at stake. But why could you not have, Allstate or Tostitos or whoever you want just sponsor a game in Bloomington or in Happy Valley or in Knoxville or whatever the gate might be? I don't know. I thought that those on-campus games were a lot of fun.
Well, they certainly seem to go over well with people. I mean, people are still talking about the atmosphere up at Notre Dame, and I'm not saying necessarily Indiana fans, but it was just an electric atmosphere. It did not work out well for Indiana. Had the seeding been set this or last year like it is going forward, Indiana would have hosted Boise State and probably would have made a huge difference in their playoff run. Obviously, I think they would have won that game. And then I don't know who they would have played next. It may have been a much better matchup, but doesn't matter. That's gone, and it is here now the way it's supposed to be. And Indiana right now, Dustin, let's talk about Purdue. I'm still impressed with what Barry Odom has done at Purdue. Even though they don't have the quote-unquote wins, they put up 30 points on Notre Dame. They're playing well, but they've just played better teams right now. I think I said this when you were on last time because you had pointed out the same thing. When Indiana goes up to Ross-Ade and West Lafayette at the end of the season, Purdue is going to have 5 wins looking for a bowl opportunity with that. So even though Indiana's going to be the better team, boy, you kind of throw that stuff out the window.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, and especially now, and I'm not saying this because of the final score. I'm saying this because it seems that Illinois is hurt, and then this week they'll play USC, so they could come into the game limping. All of a sudden, all of Purdue's games in October look winnable. They'll have Illinois, they'll have Minnesota, Northwestern, and Rutgers. And I'm not saying they're going to go 4-0 by any stretch, but Purdue could win anywhere from 1 to 4 of those games. I think they'll beat Northwestern. I think they're better than Northwestern. But the other 3 opponents, I think
who are the other 3?
Illinois, Minnesota, and Rutgers. But those are
not easy games.
No, they're not easy games.
Rutgers might be I hate to say the better of those 3. We'll see. I don't know. The jury's out on Illinois for me.
I would say Illinois is probably still the best team in that mix, but they also are dealing with a lot of injuries, especially in their secondary. And if there's one thing we've seen from Purdue, they can throw the football. And that to me has been like their defense has not been good. There's just no 2 ways about that. They have not been good. They were good against Ball State and Southern Illinois as they should be. But the last 2 weeks against USC, they were able to do enough to keep them out of the end zone. But they had no chance against Notre Dame's run game. They had no chance against Notre Dame's throw game. But their offense has been really, really good. And so coming out of the bye, I am intrigued because, again, I think you're right, Jim. None of those games are easy. I think that they'll beat Northwestern, but Rutgers is tough. They took Iowa down to the wire up in Piscataway. Minnesota is always kind of a mysterious team. Even though they lost to Cal, they always seem to get to 7 or 8 wins. And then Illinois, as you mentioned, we'll see. They play USC this week, so there's a chance that they could be 3-2 and kind of limping into that Purdue game. So it's going to be interesting, but this month of October is really, really important for the Boilermakers because then come November, they'll play, and I don't remember the order of this, but I'm going to try, but I think they're at Michigan, at home against Ohio State, on the road against Washington, and then obviously they host Indiana in that final game. So they've got to take advantage of these next couple weeks of the season because the schedule gets really, really tough in the month of November.
I'm looking at Purdue's future schedule. Boy, not doing themselves any favors right now.
They play 11 Power 4 teams each of the next 3 seasons.
Next year is not – well, you've got Notre Dame on there again. Notre Dame is on there for
2028, I think.
Next 4 years. The other 2 games are easy games, and the same thing in 2026. But 2027, you've got North Carolina and Miami of Ohio, a tough MAC squad. Then Wake Forest and Notre Dame in 2028. 2029, they finally get UConn at Vanderbilt. Daggone, in Indiana State. But by then, it'll change, but they'll have Vanderbilt on there. So they're set. In 2020, they're at TCU. 2031, they go to North Carolina. 2033, they go to Ole Miss. So they're ahead of the game as far as getting that P4 requirement. They'll just have to they don't have to do squat. They can leave everything the way it is.
Yeah, they have. I think I did the math. They'll play 12 Power 4 non-conference games, and right now they've only got 3 FCS games on the schedule. Now, I think obviously that's going to change. They'll probably add Indiana State, Southern Illinois, some of those other teams. But with the exception of 2032, in which no games are set, they've got that 10th game. That 10th Power 4 game already built in for the foreseeable future. So they're a little bit ahead of the schedule, and that's Jeff Brom to thank for that because he was the one that always wanted to play tough non-conference schedules when he was at Purdue. So it's kind of built in. I wouldn't change. If I'm Purdue, I wouldn't change anything because I think 10 Power 4 opponents is coming down the pipeline here in the next year or two for the Big Ten.
Certainly do. What's up next for you, man?
Oh, man, just a lot of Purdue basketball content. The volleyball team is at Mackey Arena these next 2 matches, and then next week we'll dive into Purdue, Illinois, and see if the Boilers have a chance to win back the Purdue Cannon.
Ooh, I didn't know about that. Got a trophy.
It's just a little small trophy type thing. It's not an actual cannon.
It work?
No, it's not a real cannon. It is maybe the worst trophy in the Big Ten, but it's at least something.
Dustin Schutte from Purdue SI. Make sure you give him a follow. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. After this, we've got Matt Taylor from the Colts as the Shoe looks to go 4-0.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, FreeThink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the ISB studios, of course. Looking forward to talking to Matt Taylor as the Colts looking to go 4-0 on this season. Man, shocked a lot of people already with this 3-0 start, but there's a lot more to it than that. But they head out west to Los Angeles to take on my childhood team, the Rams. Sean McVay, the head coach. This is going to be a test. Now, in the college game, we have seen, and I look forward to Matt joining us because I want to ask about this, but we've seen the three time zone thing affect teams. And I'm wondering how that, if that has any carryover in the NFL. If it had, I think we would be hearing more about it, but it has been a thing in the Big Ten. USC, until they beat Purdue this year, I think they had not had much success with the 3-hour time zone travel games heading back, and it works in reverse. If you go back and look, there's more losses than wins when they have to cut across all those lines. And it matters. But I don't think that it has seemed to matter at the professional level. But we'll find out. Hopefully, Matt will join us. But the Colts, man, they're leading in a lot of categories as well. I cannot believe how well they're doing. They are second in the NFL in points scored with 103, which again is the most points ever scored by the Colts in their first 3 games, more than any Peyton Manning team ever did. They are second in yards, total yards, 1,256. They have the 4th most passing yards with Daniel Jones at nearly almost 800, and the 3rd most rushing yards thanks to the league's leading rusher, Jonathan Taylor. So it's not, everybody keeps asking, are the Colts for real? Well, what the hell's for real mean? You're 3-0 in the NFL. You have put up more points than in a history of your franchise. So, yeah, they're for real, without question. There's no doubt that the Colts are bringing the heat, bringing the action. Now, but can they go out west and get it done? We'll find out. That's why they play the games. We certainly will find out. A lot of good games this weekend, whether it's in the NFL or the Big Ten. And don't forget, go to your college pick'ems. Get your picks in. I've already got mine in, so I didn't want to miss out because I knew I would. I'm not doing well. I started out doing pretty good, and then it crashed on me. And so, yeah, I'm not last, but I am far from first. Far from first. As a matter of fact, let me get that pulled up, and I will tell you, exactly how badly I'm doing. I missed a week, and that really hurt. Hurt me badly. But the last 2 weeks, I've been like 5-5. It has not gone well. not gone well at all, and I'm having trouble getting this pulled up today. Oh, well, maybe we'll get it later. But I wanted to congratulate who was leading it so far. It's not me. I can tell you that. I can certainly tell you that. And if you missed it earlier, Lewis Moore, Indiana's Lewis Moore, wins his eligibility suit. He will be playing for the remainder of the season for the Indiana Hoosiers, which is pretty big. He is leading tackler, or one of the leading tacklers on that team, and they look like they could not have lost someone like him. They're having enough trouble in that secondary. I am just angry that I cannot get this stuff pulled up, because I wanted to I'll be honest, I'll tell you how bad I'm sucking it, because it's not been good. Oh, there we are. I was looking in the wrong stinking place. What an idiot. See? No wonder my picks aren't worth. I'm 16-14 overall. 16-14. Not good. Daryl Tressler. Is it Tressler? He's leading it. He is leading, and he is followed by Bill Overman right now. You guys are doing a great job leading the way, and got a nice jacket going to the winner. Brian Stewart right behind. It's close. Daryl is 27-13. That's pretty good. Bill's 23-17. Brian is 25-15. Colin Downing's 24-16. Tom Graham 23-17. Got some good things going on. I am way down there. I'm barely on the first page still. 27. I'm tied with myself at 27. Not good. Not good at all. But it is what it is. I knew my season was wrecked when I missed that week. This week's games, yeah, they are kind of tough. Notre Dame at Arkansas. Louisville at Pittsburgh. And you definitely can't go by who's picking these games the most. They have a percentage of how much is like Notre Dame, 84% has picked them in this game at Arkansas. That seems like a lot. Matt Taylor from the Colts joins us now as the Colts are looking to go 4-0 out west. Matthew, how are you, sir?
Jimbo, what's happening, man? How are you?
Oh, you know what, brother? Loving life. If I was any better, I'd be Matt Taylor.
I don't know about that, brother. You and I have a long way to go before we're anybody of any substance. But life is good, man. Like you said, undefeated season for the Colts. Hoosiers are playing well down in your neck of the woods. You're seeing some high-level football execution. It's a good little breath of fresh air around here.
Yeah, how about the state of Indiana doing having some good stuff going on? Hey, something I was talking about earlier. We've seen this in the Big Ten, Matt. When teams travel either from the West Coast 3 time zones back or vice versa, it is statistically shown that those traveling teams don't win as often. But this week you've got the Colts traveling to Los Angeles. Has there been any? I think we would have heard about it if it was, but has there been any carryover like that to the NFL? Is that something you've seen?
Yeah, there definitely is something to that. And it's the other way as well. When teams like Seattle or the teams from the left coast, like the Rams and the Chargers, maybe to a lesser degree, a team like the Cardinals in Arizona and Phoenix, when they have to play a couple of time zones away, body clock wise, if they have a 1 o'clock Eastern time start, that's like, kicking off at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So it's definitely sort of, proven out both ways. I don't know if, I mean, you can look at those things and I think you take them into consideration, but I don't think they are huge determinants on who wins and who loses. I mean, the last time the Rams came in here and played the Colts, 2023, I think it was week 4, that game goes into overtime. I mean, the Rams didn't look tired. They didn't look, foggy in terms of body language. They got off to a really good start in that game. I think they were up 21 points and hung on to win in overtime. So I don't know. I think it just kind of depends on who you are and what kind of personality you have and, the amount of professionalism that you have to take to adjust and acclimate and get ready to play a game in a different part of the country. I do know on Saturday the Colts are going to leave just a little bit earlier than they normally do for a Sunday afternoon game. If we were playing in the Eastern time zone or the Central time zone, we would leave around 2:30, between 2:30 and 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, just because they don't want to spend a whole lot of time in the city beforehand. And that's by design. Most teams are like that. They want to, stick to the process and stick to their routine as long as they possibly can and do everything, on site or at the complex or the practice facility for as long as they can, and then get on the plane, travel, and then go through like a walkthrough, some team meetings, positional meetings, and then get to bed and just basically it's a road trip. It is a business trip. It's all business. There's not a lot of sightseeing going on. There's no, stepping out of the hotel and going down the street on Saturday night and stepping into the club and having a good time. So, I mean, it's very scripted and routine focused. So we'll see how it plays out. But I do know we're leaving a little bit earlier than we normally do just because of the travel on the West Coast, acclimation, and trying to get the body time, trying to get that acclimated as quickly as possible. But we'll see how it all plays out. But the Colts are going to have to do that a couple of times this year, right? They got to go to LA twice. They also have to go to Seattle, and then the big one is in Germany. So they're going to get a lot of practice at this exercise.
Hey, have you been sprechen Sie Deutsch?
I took 4 years of German in high school.
Why on God's green earth would you take German?
Because German is, I mean, if anybody that speaks German or has taken German, German's easy. German is a very easy language to learn. It's not like English.
Not a beautiful language.
Well, I mean, that's debatable. I think they would obviously have something to say about that. But I mean, it's a great culture. It's an easy language to learn. It makes sense. I mean, let me put it this way. It's way easier for an English-speaking person to learn German than it is the other way around. Have you thought about how hard it is for someone like in Europe to learn English for the first time if they're not privy to it? We have so many different rules and things about our language that should not make sense, but they make sense to us. But trying to teach that to someone that's never done it before would seemingly be impossible. But I digress. But yes, 4 years of German came in very handy a couple years ago in Frankfurt. It was fun.
Yeah, what's that like when the team goes over there? How far in advance can they go?
Well, you can go. I mean, it's a team decision. So I mean, some teams will go if they're going to London or Spain or Germany. Just kind of depends on the coach and what they feel like the process should be. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars have been doing this now forever, going to London. They sometimes leave on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. I've done the international travel twice. Both times we've left Indianapolis Thursday night, sort of late night, like around 10 p.m. Eastern time. And then 2 years ago, we got into Germany about lunchtime, noon German time. And, again, I hate to say, I don't want to like burst people's bubble, but there's just not a lot of time to do a whole lot other than just work and be there for the game. 2 years ago when we went to Frankfurt, we landed and then the Colts had a practice, which I had to cover, and I had to get, some items and some assets for the pregame show. And then I had to put the pregame show together. There was a little bit of a soiree on Friday night, but you're just running on fumes. I mean, there's like a little team party, like at a bar or restaurant in downtown Frankfurt. But again, I was just dragging because of, the travel and just as soon as you land, you're just going all day. And then Saturday, the day before the game in Frankfurt, I was at the stadium all day, making sure that we could set up, our broadcast equipment and, scouting out our location. And thank God we did, because we had a ton of problems and we ran into a lot of logistics. So I was at the stadium pretty much all day Saturday, and then Sunday was the game, and the game was over, and we got on the bus and got on the plane and left. Right. So I didn't see a whole lot of Frankfurt. It's just a long way to go to play an NFL game. But it's not about people like me. It's about the fans. It's about growing the game and making it more global. And so from that regard, it's been a tremendous success. But for people like me, it's just business as usual, and you adapt and you modify and you go wherever the pigskin takes you.
It's not about me, baby. It's all about the people. I love that. You're so selfless. But I already knew that.
I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing wherever it takes me.
Matt Taylor from the Colts with us as he gets ready to take off to Los Angeles. Go to the Comedy Store if you have a chance while you're out there.
Oh yeah,
how do you kill time at a place out like LA?
Well, like I said, I don't really have a whole lot of time, I love college football. And so what I typically do, and I hate to admit this, but I got two little ones at home. I've got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And so they keep me pretty busy, and, getting up every day and taking them to school. That rooster crows pretty early in the morning, Jim. I don't have to tell you that. So to have a quiet hotel room where I can just sit and watch football is pretty appealing, brother. And that's pretty much what I do. So I'll have the Hoosiers on when I land, and then I'll watch, I think, Oregon and Penn State that night. So I'll find a little place to either, grab a bite to eat, go to a sports bar and have the games on, or I'm perfectly happy just, turning on the TV in the hotel, getting out the laptop, streaming another game, and just kind of vegging out.
I can imagine. The Colts take on the Rams this weekend, and it should be a tough game. The Colts are just doing it offensively. Sean McVay is raving about him, as he should. They are high in all the offensive statistical categories. Jonathan Taylor leading the lead in rushing. Daniel Jones fourth in passing. Colts second in total yards. Second or third in points. Most points they've ever put up, even during Peyton Manning years. This has been quite the unexpected. This is almost Indiana-esque of last year.
Well, you hit it, man. You nailed all the right buttons right there. And I think the most impressive thing to me as it relates to Daniel Jones and his start, and there's so many things you can point to, but for me, it's just consistency. He's the only quarterback this year to throw for over 225 yards, throw a touchdown, and not turn the ball over in each of his first 3 starts. So he's putting this offense into a great position every single game. They've scored on 77% of their possessions so far this season. I mean, think about that, Jim. They've scored points over 3/4 of the time they've had the ball. Like, that's hard for you and I to do, in a video game where you're like playing against nobody on air in the backyard, just pretending like we're the Colts of old. You know what I mean? Like it's so impressive to see what they're doing. And you're right. It's going to be a really difficult test this week. The Rams, I think, should be 3-0-2 had it not been for a blocked field goal by the Eagles. They were up big in that game and then let it all slip away. So it's a really good football team. And offensively, they've got Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. They got Kyron Williams running the heck out of the ball. Defensively, they get after you with a lot of pressure. They've generated they're tied for the most sacks in the NFL with 12. The Rams are the only team so far this year to rank top 5 in both offense and defense. And it's a really tough place to play. I've never been there, but they say it gets loud. I mean, it's one of the biggest stadiums in the NFL, over 70,000 people. So it's a difficult place to negotiate the crowd and, all of the atmosphere that you have to contend with. And I just think it's a barometer game for the Colts because, they're 3-0, and there's still people out there that don't believe in Daniel Jones. And I get it, right? It's a small sample size, 3 games. They look at the teams the Colts have played. They're a combined 1-8. They've been outscored by a combined 80 points. There's still some skeptics out there, even though the Colts, in 2 of their 3 wins, they've just completely dismantled people. That's what good teams are supposed to do. That's what you're seeing down in Bloomington, right? Down in your neck of the woods so far this season. So it's a good, where are you type of game. It's a good barometer, measuring stick, whatever you want to call it. And it's on the road. And I think when it's all said and done, I think the Rams are going to be there probably in contention, in the final 4 of the NFC, maybe an NFC championship game appearance coming up. Who knows? But it's a really good squad. They're well coached, and they have an all-time great at quarterback. And so it's going to be a really difficult test for the Colts. But if they can get this one, they go to 4-0, man, they would legitimize a lot of things they've done in the first month of the season.
Yeah, it's kind of odd how they are mirroring the Colts and the Hoosiers mirroring each other offensively. The Colts, I just talked about how well they're doing. Indiana, the same thing. Fernando Mendoza goes from not throwing a single touchdown pass in his first game to now leading the nation in touchdown passes and being the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman. How about them apples?
Yeah, I was just telling my buddy at work here. I mean, just watching those games. I mean, what is Mendoza the last 2 games? He's like, 40 for 43 for over 500 yards passing, 15 touchdowns or 10 touchdowns in the last 2 games, and he hasn't finished either. He hasn't finished either of the games. I mean, that's just remarkable. But, yeah, they're grounding the ball. They're running the heck out of it, over 300 yards rushing per game. Obviously, he's got all those weapons on offense to spread the ball around too. And this is the thing, I think you and I have talked about this before in the past. This is the thing, as a longtime IU football fan, I have been a fan my entire life. I've been going to games down there with my pops forever. That's what we do. Like, that's our thing. It's always been our thing. And what I am having a hard time dealing with in a great way is watching this team and not expecting it to beat itself, because it never does. And I know they're playing Iowa, and they're in the same bucket. They never beat themselves, which I think makes this game coming up. It makes for it to be a really good game, because I think you're going to have a lot of execution on both sides of the ball. I think red zone's going to determine a game like this. And then obviously, how can Indiana negotiate the crowd noise? If they can, hang in there within that atmosphere, then I think they have a good chance of winning. If this game was at IU, I would probably put it at like a.
He's going to leave us hanging. Oh, Matt's going to leave us hanging. Lost his connection. I was curious as to what he was going to put that at. We'll see if he's able to rejoin there or not. But if not, I was curious to see what his spread would be, because I think they're already a 7.5 point favorite on the road. There you are. I hear you again. So what were you going to put that at?
Yeah.
What would
I don't
you
know. I'm sorry. I don't know if I.
You were going to say if it was at home, you would put it at.
Yeah, if it was at IU, I'd put it at like a 10 to 17 point win. But with it being at Iowa with that crowd, I mean, I got a lot of nightmares and a lot of flashbacks to 2021 with Michael Penix looking like a deer in the headlights with that crowd the first game of the season. I mean, he looked completely confused because of how intense that atmosphere was. So I don't care how good or not Iowa is. I mean, that's a very difficult place to play. It gets very loud in there, and I've seen IU teams, good and bad, go in there and just get throttled. So that's what gives me pause about this game. But again, if they can execute in the red zone and deal with that crowd noise, then I think they should be able to win a fairly tight game.
Sounds like the way to go to me. Looking forward to the Colts pulling out a win, and Indiana. It could be a double dose this weekend. That would be very good. Matthew, I hope you have a great weekend, my friend, as always. Appreciate you, and looking forward to hearing your call on the Colts radio network over the weekend. Make sure you're giving him a follow and listening to the games with Matt Taylor. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, Jim. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
You as well. Matt Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with plenty more after we take a pause for the cause. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing, or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Joined now by Andy Yamashita from the Seattle Times. Andy, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I reached out to Andy because this week I was looking over the AP votes, and mainly I was laughing at some of the people that did not even have Indiana ranked prior to the Illinois win, which I just shake my head. But there were a few people who were ahead of the curve and had recognized what Indiana probably is. Andy was one of those. And so I reached out because I wanted to see what is it that you've seen in Indiana, Andy, to make you do that? Because you've got a pretty good team out there you're covering as well with Washington. Man, they are way improved, and their offense is pretty damn good as well.
Yeah, I think with AP voting, one thing that maybe people don't realize is when you're working on game day, like I do, right? You're covering a team. I don't have a ton of time to watch games. Obviously, I check all the scores. I watch as much highlights as I can. I'm watching games before I go to the stadium. I'm watching games after I wrap up. But because of that, I find that the teams that I see in person really stick in my head a lot. So, Indiana against Washington a year ago was a real eye-opening performance for me. Obviously, I'd seen what Indiana was doing, but to watch them play in person, Washington last year was an okay team, maybe not a great team by many metrics, but the teams that I saw really put out a good performance against them are kind of the teams that stuck in my head. Penn State, Iowa. I was probably one of the last people ranking Iowa last year just because of the way they played against Washington, and Indiana was in that bracket. It was a backup quarterback. Curtis Rourke didn't play that game. It was Taven Jackson, but the way they ran the ball and particularly the defense I thought was really impressive. And then I was, before the season, looking at who's returning what, how many people are returning on each team. And, Indiana had D'Angelo Pons, it had Mikael Kamara, it had Aiden Fisher. And I was like, wow, 3 legit playmakers at all 3 levels of the defense. That's a great sign. And then funny enough, I'm actually from Berkeley, California, and, know a lot of Cal fans. I keep up with the Golden Bears a lot. So I've seen a lot of Fernando Mendoza and seen what he'd done with, maybe a lackluster offense a year ago. And all that together, I kind of figured that Indiana at least should get the benefit of the doubt on my ballot. Obviously, kind of a soft schedule in non-conference, but the way that I usually vote, at least early in the year, is you get the benefit of the doubt until you lose once. Twice you're out of my ballot. Once you drop far, and then we'll see what happens. But Indiana, hasn't lost, got a big win against Illinois, and that's kind of how I felt about them going into this year.
Yeah, I was just curious because I can tell, and it's always been obvious, Indiana is still a team that is a victim of brand bias, I'll just say, because they have not been good in college football historically, but it is what it is now, and it's not changing. And to me, they're a top 5 team because how complete they are. And I think they're one of the most complete teams in college football. We're going to get a chance to see that week after week because they go to Iowa this week, then they have a week off before they go to Oregon. Later, they play at Penn State. So we'll see exactly where they stack up. But the Big Ten, man, I'm happy to see teams like USC playing well and Washington. Great upgrade this year over last season.
Certainly, there's a lot of interesting teams. Like you said, it's really early in the poll, people freaking out about teams not getting votes or not getting enough attention, right? We're not even halfway through the season, right? And as the season goes on, we'll get a better understanding of who the real contenders are for CFP. We'll get a better understanding of who these teams are. But, I mean, it's hard to say Indiana hasn't had a great start to the season. And, for whatever reason that other people didn't feel comfortable ranking them, I was pretty high on them before the season started. And then they just kind of hung around. I was just waiting for them basically to play Illinois. Wanted to see how that looked. Obviously passed with flying colors. So yeah, the Big Ten certainly got some good representation. Obviously outside of the top schools, the Ohio States and the Penn States, USC is intriguing. I actually covered Jade Mayava when he was at UNLV when I was working at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Really interesting kid, really good player. And obviously, everything Washington's doing, it hasn't been anything they've done necessarily that hasn't gotten them ranked. It's more kind of where I felt about Indiana, where I'm just kind of waiting to see them play a really good team, which obviously that'll happen this weekend with Ohio State. So yeah, the Big Ten is well represented, and it's an interesting situation, what you're talking about with the brands. I try and keep that out of my ballot as much as possible. I don't have Notre Dame in, I don't have Clemson in, I don't have Alabama in right now. And, all the teams can earn their way back. Again, it's early. People think that if they're not in your ballot by week 5, they won't be in your ballot forever. And that's just not true. Every team has an opportunity to earn their way back, in my ballot at least. And, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, man. I wish we had more time, and I appreciate you. I know it's early for you out on the West Coast, but I look forward to probably doing this again. And make sure you're following Andy Yamashita. He's especially for West Coast information. He's up in Washington at Seattle, the Seattle Times, and man, looking forward to this season continuing on, Andy. And I thank you so much.
Absolutely, thanks for having me, Jim.
You bet. Thank you. Andy Yamashita from the Seattle Times, an AP voter, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. That's going to wrap it up. We're back tomorrow with another full day. And Tom Kakert from the Iowa On 3 site joins us tomorrow, in addition to Todd Leary and Zach Osterman, Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Thanks to each and every one of you today for joining us. Back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.